what it takes for a person to spend his whole life, let's say, let's take someone who won Olympics bronze medal. I will not go to the gold.
I think it's personality. If you can like, if you read or watch like those the best athletes, right? You can tell that they have very strong personalities. They're not like mellow, or maybe for some discipline, but I think all of them have like this kind of fire inside of them. They have very unique personalities and they just. I mean, for me, it's I was competitive since I was young. For me, it's like I either do my best or I don't do it at all. And I
Okay.
always, even if it's a small thing for me, I have to do my best. I just sometimes I'm like, I shouldn't waste my time on this, but inside of me, I just can't.
Mhm.
Like even at work, we have some tasks that like, oh, like I shouldn't, but then I'm gonna, if I do it like not perfectly or not like
I
my
know.
way, I will go back and I correct it. I was like, okay, this is not working. I just have to do it my way. That's who I am. And I think for athletes, the ones that actually go far to actually want to win, not even gold, a bronze, I feel like it's just this personality and character, the ambition they have to actually go so far despite everything, despite all the obstacles. And you can see, I would see my friends partying and being in relationships and traveling, and I was like training. But then I
Okay.
would travel and I would meet wonderful people back then when there was no internet, actually no Instagram, nothing. I was just collecting memories and traveling the world, and I wouldn't be who I am without it, for sure.
I know your craze towards traveling started from, I think, from Alcabra, your first trip you traveled.
Oh my god, you
Yes, I do my
remember?
research. You never told me,
Yeah.
so I found out.
Oh
You
my god.
shared an article with me.
Wow. Wow, you did like homework. You did your
Yeah.
homework. Yeah, that was Algarve, and that was also a coincidence because I remember I had a really bad day. I didn't feel well, but for some reason there was like a qualification for European Championships. I had no idea, and I think maybe it was good for me that I didn't know. And I think I broke my record, my personal record, and I was really high in rankings, but I had no idea about anything. I
How
remember
old were you?
I was, oh my God,
Yeah.
16, no, 16, 14, no, 14,
Okay, I saw
something
the
like
photo
that.
too.
Wait, I was in middle school. Yeah, something like that. I was a baby. I was really
Yeah,
young.
I have the photo in that.
Yes, yes. So that was actually my favorite. I mean, that was the beginning, and actually we won their gold. And that was my first. An individual, I didn't do well because like I didn't have the experience. But I think the teamwork is a little bit different, right? And
So
we,
how is the team work in archery?
the team. So
What is
three
in your
people,
sport?
three
I'm so
people.
dumb.
So like you always have three people. You don't. Sometimes you have four, but in team you only have three. So even the four might be a backup, right?
Okay.
So you only three can represent and like compete in teams. Like usually it's like the top three, like from rankings, right? And you shoot like two arrows each.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like six arrows together, two arrows each. You can either shoot like one arrow and then the next one will come. So it's like one person is shooting either two arrows in a row, and then you
Okay.
just like kind of you leave your like spot, and then next one comes. And you have, of course, you have a time limit.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, it's really interesting, especially when it's super windy. And sometimes you really want to wait, but you cannot wait because you have two more people that should like
Yes,
they.
yes.
So it's like, oh my god, it's crazy. I remember it was raining, sometimes windy because like it would be an open field. So Algarve, maybe that was I love Portugal. Maybe it's my love to Portugal, I don't know. But I
I know you have
remember,
told me many times, but
yeah, there's something about
I
this
didn't get
country.
chance yet.
Yeah, and then I remember we made it all the way to the final. We would like shoot final. It was my first ever international competition, and I made it to the final with my friends. But we had a really good atmosphere in team. I think every single team, it doesn't matter what discipline. I think you really need this atmosphere and this like kind of really good relationship between each other, trust.
Hmm.
And that's what we had. And that was our day. I remember I was shooting really well. Like I had this flow. Like I was in my zone. And when you are in the zone, it's like it doesn't matter. Like you cannot hear anyone. You're just so focused, and everything is working. And when I won this, it was like I think it gave me motivation, and maybe that's what is the thing for every athlete. It's like you win your first competition, like you had some major, I don't know, like achievement,
Hmm.
even though it's like a small because it was for in junior category, even below junior. And that's I was like, wow, I can do this. And then
Yeah.
it's like I would like commit more and train more. I was in the national team and I would qualify for more competitions. And the fact that you travel the world,
Yeah.
you don't pay for that. You get also if you're good, you get scholarship. That's a lot for like a young kid from like a
Yeah.
small town or village.
Yes, I can imagine.
So like for to every parent who's gonna watch it, give your kids opportunity to train any sport. Just try different disciplines, try different sports because it might not be one, but it might take few to find out that's that thing. But I think it's also shaping personality. It doesn't mean that that kid's gonna be a, like Olympic medalist or world champion, but maybe through sport it will become more confident.
Hmm.
It also will because you also learn how to be around other kids, right?
Yes.
Communicate, also how to share like kind of also struggles and everything. So it's really interesting and shapes personality for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I think so too. I was telling my sister to go for some martial arts recently.
Martial arts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also very functional. You kind of self defense and also it's actually a very good sport. Did I try? I had in college like judo, and I had also tried kickboxing once.
Okay. Kickboxing is very interesting for me. Like,
And it's also like good for like in terms of like your like endurance. I would say if you wanna like be in shape.
yes, I think also it's psychological, like you said, like every other sport. It's martial arts is also very psychological. So, why not Olympics?
In what do you mean by not like?
You didn't try.
Oh, I tried. I just didn't make it. Unfortunately, it's not like for everyone. I think I was a part of the team who was selected from like a team of 10 people, and I was like one of four. And
Okay.
we're like the final four, and we would like compete at like World Cups, and there was like the last stage was World Cup in Ogden, United States, and then I was fourth, unfortunately, and only three girls were competing for the spot. They also didn't win it back then as a team, but I wasn't selected to the team. Like back then, at that point, I was like really like I was training probably really 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 hard, but I just was like so out of form.
Is there, like, I wonder, is there any nepotism or some
In archery,
bribery in the selection? Not in archery, in
in
general.
general, oh yeah, that's like I would say the club that has like the more to say, like the most like I would say like our club is like one of the biggest in a country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think those coaches from those clubs which either have like great athletes, they would try to push them. And there were some dirty. I mean, when it comes to Olympics, what my older like colleagues from the team, because I was like the youngest, but my oldest like guys who used to compete in Olympics tell me like you're gonna see that friends are gonna turn their back at each other. They might be friends, but when it comes to Olympics, it's like a rat race. And what I saw, I couldn't believe it. Like literally with my friends from the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly they wouldn't talk to me or like they would kind of like be together and I was left alone. So I would like kind of spend time with my friends from the male team. And I was like and they told me like, yeah, that's what's happening.
Getting that. It's very interesting for me because when you see on TV someone winning a medal, you just see the part of glory.
Oh my god,
I think very
yes.
less people, including me, are very ignorant of the journey they went through. Think you sacrifice part of your life to achieve something like that.
Yeah, I mean, me, it was like actually pretty short compared probably to other athletes who maybe even would compete till even their 30s or 40s sometimes
Yeah,
to
like
go to
Michael
the Olympics.
Phelps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So me, I retired, I gave it a shot and I didn't make it, but and just mentally like I just when what I saw, I was like, this is so toxic. I don't really want to be part of it. I don't know if I have enough strength to fight it and to like do my to focus on training and then to also fight those like I don't know, like corruption you can call it. And also I'm the type of person who would always speak up.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it should be fair and square. That should be the beauty of sport. The selection should be the best should go. But that's not always the case. I think when the sport is really popular and there's a lot of visibility, I don't think there's less room to kind of for manipulation.
Hmm.
But with those small sports like archery, when they're not so popular. I
And
think
even
it's
in
easier.
football, like
Was it the
Indian,
case in like
yeah,
team
for
selections?
I know for India, like just imagine we have 1 billion people, and still, if I'm not wrong, it's we have hundreds rank, maybe 90 to 100, and it's one of the reason is nepotism and corruption, bribery
Hmm.
for the federation of football.
Our archery association is like in a really, really like I think a worse point right now. And because of that, I feel like they were thinking because we would achieve a lot as juniors and even seniors would do well, but I think they didn't look at it from like a long term perspective, right?
Hmm.
So like 10 years later, because of corruption, those decisions, a lot of great artists like me, and also after I left, I heard a lot of my friends also would leave because they didn't want to be part of it. Lots of great coaches would leave because they didn't were like, I'm training this archer. They are spending their time, they would commute to the club, they do it for free, and like they do well and they're not selected. Why? What should I tell them, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And they're like, I just cannot do this anymore. Like I don't agree with it. I try to fight it, but I just give up because like I can't. And that's what happened. And they like left right now with like from what I heard in Archer Association with like almost nothing. I don't know if there's gonna be a chance to rebuild it, but like see that's what happens. They thought they can do it, right? And nothing's gonna happen. But then 10 years later they're like, we screwed up.
Okay.
My coach like well I had a huge disagreement with him and we didn't speak to each other for a few years. He visited my house when I wasn't there, and he talked to my mom like they're not there. We don't have athletes like Paula anymore. I was like, yeah, because you ruin it. Because there were so many athletes like me who were like, I did it for passion. I didn't do it for money. And but everyone just quit because they just those good athletes who just wanted we just wanted to train fair and square and just just achieve our dreams, but it was all taken away from us, right? And he was like, "Oh, they're not anymore." I was like, "Yeah, because of you, because of all of you."
The system, you mean?
Exactly. It's broken, but it's really too late. You want to rebuild it, it's going to take another 10 years to do it if you are, if you actually want to do it and you will let the right people to do it, right? But I don't think it's going to happen. That's the dark side of sport. Like, I mean, to make it to the Olympics. And then when I hear people saying, oh my God, we sent like hundreds of athletes to the Olympics, the Polish team is like the biggest in history, and we only bring back like 10 medals. I was like, did you know that those athletes sometimes train in like really bad conditions? I mean, they're adults in their sometimes late 20s or 30s. So, I mean, and basically, this is their job, but it's not really paid well. It's not like football players, right?
Yeah.
I mean, track and field athletes, right? Or we had a medalist in like weightlifting,
Okay.
and she ended up in UK working. It was like trash select recycling. It was really bad. So they organized a fundraising for her. She won a medal, but I think you get the retirement, Olympic retirement at
Hmm.
certain age. So she was way too young to kind of like, and she ended up without a job in UK doing this. I was like, how is that even possible?
Hmm.
I mean, Olympic medalist, right?
Yes.
And people are like, oh my God, she goes all the way to the Olympics just to bring nothing. I was like, yeah, but she's like one of 30 the best athletes in the world, right?
Wow. Yeah, but you should be proud of the 10 medals Poland brings back because as big as population we have, we don't win anything.
Exactly,
Like
that's how I feel.
very rare to get gold, and I mean, if we get gold, it's like a celebration in India.
I mean, compete like with United States. They have
United
amazing
States, China.
system. Yeah, China, United
What
States,
makes them
Russia.
so strong?
So like what
Olympics.
I noticed is it all starts from like from a kid. I think the system is like made to already like find those talents at a very young age, and they have infrastructure. For them sport is really important. They're so passionate about sport, and even in college, like the college sometimes athletes they have full scholarships like gymnastics, you know.
Mm.
I have a friend actually, she's a football player, female, and she was the a goalkeeper of the team that won the first gold medal for like under 18.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Which
and
one? Poland?
yes, and
Ah,
she's
okay.
from my like hometown.
Wow.
So it's and it actually her and they all actually her whole family is very talented because her brothers used to train archery, and all of them they would be like world champions or like national champions. So it's just but they were working really hard, and she made it all the way from a small, it's a village, all the way to the States. When I was in the States, she was in the States, but she was in Texas, so we didn't manage to meet each other. But I was like, how are you doing? She was like, I got scouted to the States. She was on full scholarship. We're talking about someone from a small village
Hmm.
who was on full scholarship with great grades. Like she was not native. I was like, wow, you should be really proud of this year of yourself. She was like, yeah, I was working my ass off. Like it was really hard. Full scholarship. Now she's playing for a French club.
Oh,
And she's also in a national team.
a Polish national team.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, maybe, hey, maybe we can like, she can maybe be a guest of your
Yeah, of
podcast.
course. Would love to.
She's incredible. Like, I'm always like, wow.
What's her
Like,
name?
Kinga Shamik.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can happen.
Let me try to pull some strings. Yeah, but
Okay.
like, oh, it just came like to my mind, like, yeah, like her stories. I think her story would be incredible for you because, like, I mean, also the fact that she was on a scholarship, on like a full scholarship in the States, and she actually graduated, came back here. Now she's playing from a French club. Like, she's doing amazing.
Oh, very nice. Anyway, coming back to US, how do you compare the living standards in US or Europe?
So like everyone would say the same thing. In Europe, everything is smaller. Cars are smaller, houses are smaller, apartments are smaller, portions of food are smaller. Everything is smaller. Coffee is smaller, and in the States, there's like this thing about big houses, big cars. I mean, it's just a little bit different. Which and the culture. I mean, I kind of experienced a culture shock over there because like Europe is like more like. The whole idea, I think I can speak for almost majority, is like that you work to live, to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
We have this very that now that I appreciate because I have different perspective that we enjoy our life.
Yeah.
We work to enjoy our life, not to kind of I don't know run after chase some I don't know
Money.
status, also money and
Status,
status,
power, money.
because they what matters over there is like, oh, what college you graduated, but you ended up with a huge loan unless you have like a parents that can pay off your loan, but that's not always the case. And then it's like then after graduation it's like to get a good job, to get one house, maybe at some house over there to go from vacation, a big car, dog and family. But then it's like 9 to 5. I don't know, it kind of feels a bit shallow. I don't know. I was that's why maybe I wasn't friends with lots of Americans. I mean, for real. I don't know why, but all my friends were like from all the other countries. I never actually clicked with an American. I mean, my family was American, but also my family is American, but um, one of them have like British roots, and the other one traveled the world. So they're very different, and they love
Okay.
Europe. Yes, so
Okay.
they're different. But we, an American, kind of like I couldn't click, but I click with Indians, Pakistani, Chinese. Like it's so, right? Isn't it like,
Yeah.
and I was like, but the lifestyle, yes, it's like
I feel same in Poland. Like I
unhealthy.
click, I have a lot of Polish friends, and
I
maybe
think you have more than me.
I. Yes, and I find it very interesting because I think cultures is similar somehow. Maybe
A rich culture, traditions.
religion,
Oh,
traditions,
yes.
exactly,
Like Americans, I mean, we have to
and
say it out
family
loud.
values.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything. Like where I come from, we treasure it. I see it in Poland too. So maybe that's one of the reasons.
I think what you said is culture and traditions,
Yeah.
and that's what United States they don't have it. I mean, they have Thanksgiving, but
Uh,
I don't really know. if they actually know what they're
And they
thankful
have
for.
Juneteenth.
July 4th.
July Juneteenth is
What is
black
Juneteenth? Oh my god. I
something.
didn't even
And
know. Isn't
recently,
it new?
yeah, it was new. I think it last
After
year.
this Black Lives Matter,
Yeah, I
right?
think so. And they have Trans Visibility Day. Mm.
I mean, to be honest,
I'm kidding.
since I came back, what I've heard from like my friends and family who live in the States, it changed so much. Like this, like the whole like the conversations around LGBT, trans, and like racism, everything. I think right now it's kind of. I feel like it's boiling in the States,
Mhm.
like in a way that there's like conflicts and like there's
Yeah, we
something
see it
weird
in the
going
media
on.
when you watch, I don't know, mainstream TV channels and even late night shows. You can see it's clearly left, fully supporting whatever the bullshit they are fed. And then when you listen to podcast or YouTube independent
Yeah,
media, it's mostly extreme right. So it's like mind fuck. What to believe? Which who should you believe?
yeah.
Think I have all we can do is try to understand and take our own stance. Try to understand what's going on, where we stand, what we like.
Honestly, it's just now what is at the beginning I was even considering to like maybe even try to like come back to the States and even go to college and work there. And then I came back home and then COVID happened. And kind of I think it happened for a reason because I realized no, that's not my place. And then I kind of like I always say like I feel like I'm back my to my roots.
Hmm.
And then I kind of reminded myself why I love Europe so much
Yeah.
and how it would be so difficult for me to find myself and to keep my kind of like lifestyle and life balance in the States. Because, like I told you, the lifestyle is so different. I mean, of course, for us, matters is something to have a house and own business, but it's still different. We still find time to go out, spend time with our friends. But you know what happens in the States? You have this so-called chit chat, small talk.
Hmm.
Hey, how are you? Fine, and you? Fine. But you're not fine. It's like, at some point for me, it was like, I'm not fine. I have a really bad day. I don't really want to lie. I don't want to say I'm fine, but that's what everyone says. They would be like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And you don't know that person, but that's what they do. But then it's like, oh, let's grab a cup of coffee soon. That's never going
Not
to happen.
happening. Okay.
And then, but in Europe, it's more difficult to make real friends, I
Hmm.
would say. Or it takes more time, maybe even with like Polish, especially, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when it happens, it will actually, you will kind of connect and you will, if you say, let's grab a cup of coffee, you're going to text each other and you will actually meet and grab this freaking coffee. But in the States, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
How many times are, yeah, let's grab a cup of coffee sometime. But I feel like it's just, that's what they say. That's what they also say, like, love you as kind of, love you in a way, like, bye, miss you. And I feel like I'm too European for that.
Yes.
We don't do that, right?
Yeah, I know.
I was like, bye.
I
Mm,
love like how Europeans live life, and I'm
yes.
happy. I was actually planning to go to Canada first, not Poland. So everything was set. I got my
Oh,
admissions, blah blah blah.
no way. You
Yeah, I
you
never
were
told you.
supposed no, you were supposed to
Yes,
study in Canada,
yes,
Toronto.
yes. In Toronto, yeah. I even got
Sure.
admission there, and then because of some financial issues and all, decided okay, it's not place for me. And then Poland happened, and I'm extremely happy that happened, and happy with my life, how it went, and very happy in Poland. And adding to how Europeans live life, last year, no, 2 years ago, I went for Opener. It's people who don't know, it's the big music festival, happens every
Yeah,
year
it's getting so
in
popular
Poland.
these
It's getting
days.
very popular. So, for instance, when I went, there was Imagine Dragons, Dua Lipa was about to perform,
And then cancel
Doja
because of
Cat,
weather.
yes, and 21 Pilots, Cigarettes After Sex. So, a lot of artists. And there was one night in particular after the concert, we were sitting, eating something in the grass. And I see people around me laughing, hanging out with friends, dancing. And two guys, maybe 35, 40, came to us. They were Polish. They were talking with us and they asked, can we record a video of you guys? Because I was sitting with my friends saying happy birthday to my daughter who's not born.
Wha-
And it was very, I wouldn't say touching, but it's
It
very
was a
interesting,
bit,
very
yeah.
fulfilling
Yeah.
to see how people live life. And that day, like I was realizing, this is how you should live life. You can make money, but for this, the money on yourself, spend the money on family. But what is life if you don't live it?
Especially when you're in your 20s and I think 30s. I think in 20s you're like crazy and you make lots of mistakes and you maybe regret some things. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yes.
But in 30s it's more like you're more mature because you know what you want and you're not also gonna feel like this pressure of maybe following your friends or like do whatever anyone else is doing. You're just gonna be like, no, thank you. You just do it. I'm gonna go do something different, right? So it's a different type of kind of like you said experiencing things, and if you're gonna focus on making money, which is also okay, but looking back, I'm at this point in my life and I'm not that old. I feel like I don't regret any trip because I've met great people. I've learned a lot about myself, about others, about the culture, and I think I will you will take memories with you. You won't take like objects
Yeah,
and
material
things.
things.
And sometimes people wake up in their 40s and suddenly they're like, oh, I have a house, a car, I'm financially stable, I can travel. But it's like, it's gonna be different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't say it's impossible, but it's gonna be so different. So, like, to everyone who's gonna watch it, if you're in your 20s, in your 30s, do it now. Because, like, if we follow what's happening in the world, like, you don't know what's gonna happen. We have, like, a few decades of, like, peace,
Mm-hmm.
at least in Europe and like certain countries, not everyone unfortunately. So we are lucky, we are blessed basically.
Yeah.
We should really, if there's a place on your bucket list,
Yes.
do it. I mean,
Travel.
don't do those 10 like places at once. Don't, I mean, you don't have to go crazy and spend your whole
Yeah,
savings, but
exactly.
like go to your favorite place, like when I one, two places.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the past few, I actually traveled a lot after COVID. It was my sort of like therapy after
I
those,
think everyone started
and it
traveling
was
a lot after
crazy.
COVID.
It was like sort of like a healing process. I
Yeah.
think for every single person it was difficult. Some people lost their relatives, right? Some also maybe got sick, but all some lost jobs, right?
Or some was
And
just bored for two
and I
years.
think everyone realized like we cannot take life for. We always say it. Don't take things for granted. Live your life to the fullest. But we just say it. But right now, I think everyone just like went straight to execution, like straight to okay, no. So I think I just had my friends. You wanna go there? I was like, okay, let me book. Tickets were so expensive. It's crazy to think I spent so much in Europe, but honestly, I don't regret a single day. It was like the
Yeah.
last 2 years, my goal was to travel, kind of heal, and then sort of the therapy. And I don't regret it. Now it's kind of gonna move a little bit, but I just travel is too beautiful. At least 2, 3 times a year is something like you really have to do. I
Yeah.
would say
It doesn't have to spend a lot of money.
you don't
You
have
don't have to go
to.
long distance.
You don't need her
Like
four
travel
star
somewhere,
hotel.
meet some
Yeah,
people,
it's. I mean,
next.
you don't remember the hotel. You don't
Yeah.
remember the bed or whatever, right? Of course, like you have this moment when you're
I
like,
mean, if
I
it's
want.
very bad, you remember.
Okay, like in Hawaii, I was sleeping in a tent. It was like leaking actually, and we're sleeping in our swimsuits because it was leaking. It was raining, and our tent was leak. And I was like, the first time I did something crazy. I hate camping. I hate sleeping in tents. I'm not just. It's not for me. But I did it in Hawaii, and I remember it was funny. I laugh at it right now, right? But like it's just those memories you take with you, and the friends you make, and the people you meet,
Yeah.
but you just have to be open minded. Just talk to people. People, oh my god, you make so many friends. I was like, because I talk, I smile, I'm just open. If someone's gonna talk to me, I'm gonna talk back. I don't give attitude,
Yeah, exactly.
side eye. Like, why are you talking to me? Why would you talk to me? You know, the okay. So like, I want to know your perspective about Polish
Hmm.
people because like some would say a lot of my friends would say like yeah some of them are amazing those who travel but some of them are just like there's like this thing about Polish people who maybe are like were always like in Poland, they wouldn't travel abroad. They kind of also like not very open about the idea of having foreigners in Poland and
Hmm.
everything. What's your
So
opinion
in my
about that?
experience, I didn't have any extremely bad experience with Polish people. I would say from medium good to very good.
Oh, that's
Like,
actually pretty good.
yeah. like of course like few racist slurs or something. I think
That's everywhere, right?
there are uh, how to call them shitheads. Yeah, I
Yes.
think every country has them, every
Angry
community has
people,
them.
jealous, I don't
So
know.
you can just, if I put them aside, I only had good experience with Polish people. And if someone don't want foreigners or is not familiar with seeing foreign face, I understand because relatively the last 5 years it started getting very popular Poland. Like I remember when I told my family I'm going to Poland, they were asking why is Poland, and even some people still thought it's a communist country.
Oh
Like,
my god. I mean, come on, people. No.
so yeah, like only good experience and language is a problem, language barrier. But people who speak English got along well with me. So
Where's your Polish after a few years living in Poland? Tak, nie, proszę, poczekaj.
no, I'm trying.
I'm
I'm
trying.
trying.
It's because in Krakow everyone speaks English. You just get too comfortable.
And especially nowadays, I realized like 2 days ago, I was walking in front of a galleria and I saw policemen speaking English. And I was telling my friend, oh, look at that, it's a big improvement.
It used to be an issue, like when I was a student in Krakow, to find someone who would like give you directions, for example. Not a lot of, I mean, young people, sure, but older not. But I feel like right now I realize even older people kind of got better,
Yeah.
and that's actually a huge step
Yes, and even when I
forward.
travel to Italy, Spain, I have noticed in Poland they speak more English than these countries. Like people in shops or Italy especially, like I noticed they don't speak English at all. I
They
heard
speak
very
the language, the body language.
the body language, yeah. And talking about travel, I don't know if I told you, my number one bucket list is New York. And
Yes, New
maybe
York
it's a
is.
cliche, I
It's
don't
not
know.
cliche. I would say that's the city. If someone, it's amazing. There's something unique and magical about the city. I've been like in New York over 10 times, like weekend. I could go to Mexico with my friends. No one wanted to, but if I would ask, do you want to go with me to Mexico or like summer? Let's go to New York for a weekend. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's just you just go to the New York and you can go like so many times for a weekend, but it's just never enough because that city is just amazing. I don't know if it's also like the fact, like the old movies,
Yeah,
jazz,
exactly.
the
So,
underground, also the
so for
art.
me, that's one of the biggest reasons. Some people who have seen New York, who have been in New York, gave me bad reviews. It's like clustered city, a lot of people. I
Because they went
understand.
to Times Square.
So in general, when I speak to people about I want to visit US, it's demotivating always. The response I heard, it's overrated, overhyped, blah blah blah. But for me, why I want to travel to US, it's a country, it's a culture, if we can
Mm.
call it that. I grew up with watching on screen. Like so, it's not my country, not relatively close, even two different part of the globe, but I know the city names. I know the actors, I know the cultures. Of course, it's not real what I see, but it's something I know I've been following since a long time. So I want to just go there and see, okay, it's real, New
It
York.
actually is real, but what I would say, you cannot go there for a few days only, because obviously you would go to all the touristy places and even Times Square just to be like in the like stand on a Times Square and see like all those like it's very it's an interesting experience. You want to go there. Then, for example, me after first two times, I would avoid it because there's too many people with their phones,
Hmm.
right? But you want to go. Central Park is not overhyped. It's huge and also it's beautiful. Also, like you think about all the movies and everything, and also it is really pretty. Walking there in the fall, summer, I mean, just
Yeah.
down on the grass and just like seeing people just playing. My favorite park is Bryant Park. It's a small park surrounded by buildings. The idea of
I think
having,
you have told
yeah,
me. Yeah.
part of like you have just it's really a smart one. There's not there are a few trees maybe, but like seeing people on the grass with the some would have luggage, some would just lie down on the blanket, some wouldn't even have blankets, they would just lie down on the grass. And then you are surrounded by like buildings. The contrast for me, it's kind of was like this peaceful part in this concrete jungle. But New
Uh-huh.
York has a special part. I mean, Boston obviously, but New York, You just have to go to not touristy places, like Brooklyn and Dumbo. Not like, I mean, Brooklyn Bridge, obviously. Just see all those things that like are touristy, and then just like spend some time like going to like all those small places, right? Some jazz pub, you can see, you can watch like a play. Like Broadway is obviously like the place, but there are also smaller places, like more local. When I was in Chicago, I went to the jazz club where Al Capone would go.
Ah,
It
okay.
was so cool, and the jazz, like the musicians were incredible, and it was like old school. You couldn't order margarita; they would look at you like leave. It was like all the drinks, like the very like old classy drinks. You would have like really cute tables with like a candles on it.
So like how we see in the movies.
Yeah, it was real, honestly.
Yeah.
But we had
See,
to.
that's what I want.
So
That's
that and New York is you have to go. I mean, I would say like everyone needs to go to New York, but like, okay, go to the touristy places. I get it. You want to see them, right?
yeah.
Experience, but then just try to find those like small gems. You can find them. I mean, it's internet, right? You have so many blogs. You can even have reach out to some people on Instagram who like live in New York. Hey, I want to know like those places. I mean, honestly, about New York, I love rooftops, and the
Mhm.
reason why is because there's something amazing about being like on that top of the very top like building and just like looking at the city, which is like, I mean, probably the craziest in the world.
Mhm.
And it's just the perspective of being like above it.
Yes.
It's just, it's just so
Yeah, I
special. Like,
can totally imagine myself.
and the sunset.
Yes.
And then when it's in New York, there is a contrast between daytime, it's a kind of touristy, but then nightlife. It's so different. Like I love it. I know it's not very safe. You have to be careful. You have to know where to go, where to not go. But me, I would walk around 2 a.m., 4 a.m. And I mean, I love walking the cities. Like I just love roaming around the cities at night. I love cities at night. It's just a different feeling. Like
Yeah, I
it's like I
agree.
think the city like kind of falls asleep, but kind of it's a different energy. And just like ever seen that from the rooftop, like the sunset and the change of the energy. And in New York, because of that, maybe when you think about all the movies and culture, art, I don't know, everything, this part, this international part. I mean, you have Wall Street over there. You have
Yeah.
Broadway. You have like Julia, which is like the best ballet school. Like you have everything. If someone lives in New York, they're gonna tell like, why should I travel? I get everything in New York, right?
Yeah, I know, I know. I have heard like I mean, like I wouldn't call them celebrities, let's say YouTube figures who lives in
Mm.
New York. They always say, why would we leave New York? We have everything here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even when you watch the movies, you have those famous quotes like, "You've never left New York." I was like, "Why would I? I have everything in New York.
Yes,
Sex at
yes.
the City, everything." I mean, what's your favorite movie that kind of was like made in New York?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's a movie. I would say it's a series,
Yeah.
and there is not much New York of it. It's Friends.
Oh my, yeah. Okay, me too. And fun fact, he was
Hmm.
produced in LA.
Of course, of course. That's what I
I
said.
didn't know that. I even found the building, which I thought it was their apartment, maybe for a few scenes.
Hmm.
But then they told me like, no. I was like, you just crushed my like kind of vision. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought it's actually New York, but it's not.
Yeah, so Friends also pushed me to go outside of where I was. So when I was watching Friends, I want this life. I want to have friends like this. I want to live in New York, or I want to live in Western world. So in a way, Friends pushed me to come here even. So yeah, Friends I would say, and I don't know. So yes, one day, maybe sooner, New York.
I think you should do it sooner than later. Maybe next year.
Maybe. I'm also waiting because I have a friend who is Polish. He have an apartment over there.
Oh my god, what? Can we be friends too? Like, because I had a friend in New York too, but she moved out to LA. I was like, really? I did it. Why? Why? You told me you're gonna stay there forever. And literally, I was like, how could you move out before I would come? Like, this is. She was like, yeah, it happened. I was like,
I'm waiting for him to go so I can just follow him.
oh,
Yeah,
can I?
that's why I say you should move to US.
You always say that. Move to some nice place so I can visit you. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
US.
it's pretty expensive. Even though if that wouldn't happen, it's gonna be expensive, to find like hotel, whatever accommodation, Airbnb, like anything. Did I say R&B? I always say
Airbnb.
R&B instead of like Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yes.
It's
And
okay.
I'm like R&B, no, Airbnb,
Yeah.
or whatever. So like, yeah, but I would still go. It's gonna be more expensive, but it's like worth every single dollar you would spend there. But having someone there, I'm sure the apartment's gonna be small, but it's still gonna be for free, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think
It's
it's
a
the same.
shoebox.
Yes. And I would love to do road trip from the famous
I did a West Coast road trip.
West Coast,
I
exactly.
have my uncle lives in Arizona. So I spent a few days in Arizona. That was my starting point. My brother visited me, so he would fly all the way to Canada to my family. I love Toronto as well. And so he would spend some time over there. He would then fly to Boston, spend some time with me. I would take him to NBA game because for a birthday.
Mhm.
And then we would fly to my uncle in
Have you met
Arizona.
any celebrities? Like, or
Oh,
so?
Owen Wilson
Oh, really?
in Hawaii. I mean,
Ah,
they
okay.
actually have their like residences or like villas in Hawaii, and he was like passing by Owen Wilson. Probably met, I think, Samuel L. Jackson in Central Park. They all have their penthouses like around Central Park.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so listen, Paula, thanks a lot for coming and doing this. Let's do it again.
Yes. I
Yeah.
don't think we went for like even half of what we wanted to talk about, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the conversation kept
Yeah.
going on its own. So yeah, thanks again and all the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same for you. Hope you're gonna go far away with your podcast. We're gonna bring some interesting guests in the
thank
future. Let's
you.
pull some string. Let's meet some good people. Let's bring them on the board and make some really cool content.
Thank you. Thank you.